Hello students, in the last lecture we studied about the self-inductance, and for a coil we defined the self-induced EMF to be minus L di by dt. This was a self-induced EMF, and this self-induced EMF was also known as back EMF, as it opposes the growth and decay of current, and therefore it is also referred as, or its role is similar to the inertia. It play a role of inertia, and it is equivalent or analog to the mass in mechanics. So whatever role is played by mass in mechanics, that role is played by the self-inductance. Now this back EMF opposes the growth and the decay of the current. Self-inductance is a property of coil to oppose the change in current, and a component which opposes the change. Here change means the growth and the decay of the current, which opposes the change in current, is called inductor. And its symbol is like this. In resistance, like this, we have a symbol for a resistance, for a capacitor, and now we have an inductor where we make the two coils, and we write a L over this, which indicate the inductor. So it opposes the growth and the decay of the current. Now if I want to establish the current in the coil, so if I connect this inductor with a variable current, then I need to do the work against the back EMF, because when I try to increase the current, it opposes the increase in current, and when I try to decrease the current, it opposes the decrease in the current. So the work has to be done, or work is required to be done against the back EMF. So this is self-induced EMF is known as back EMF. So today we will see energy stored in inductor. So because we have to do the work against the back EMF, we will find out how much work is required to be done to establish the current I in the inductor. The self-induced EMF in the inductor is, we write its magnitude L di by dt. That is our equation number 1. Since it is back EMF, work is required to be done against back EMF to establish current I in the circuit. So I want to establish current I in the circuit, and therefore I will do the work against this back EMF. The time rate of change of work, or the rate of work done, is dW by dt, that is the power, the work done per unit time, that is called power. So power is equal to V into I. Here I write magnitude of EMF multiplied by I. So substituting this value of Mach EMF, that is L di by dt into I dw by dt. This dt is cancelled. So the work which is required to be done can be obtained by integrating this equation number 2 with the proper limit. So the total work done to establish the current in the inductor or in the coil is dw, limit will be 0 to w, that is equal to L 0 to I di. Therefore W is equal to L I square by 2. The limit initial is 0 and the final is I. So the work done will be equal to half Li square. So this is the amount of work which is required to be done. This work done is stored in the form of potential energy of inductor. So in capacitor, if you remember, the energy stored in the capacitor was half CV square. Here the work done is Li square by 2, that is half Li square. And similarly in the mechanics, when an external force is applied, the work is done on the body and the body comes into motion. The energy possessed by a body due to its motion is called kinetic energy. And if you remember, what was the expression for kinetic energy? So the work done, when the work done to move a body was half mv square. So we can easily compare whatever role is played by m in the mechanics, that role is played by L, the role of current is played by V. So in order to bring a body into a motion, that is its velocity was half mv square. Here in the place of a motion of a body, we have a motion of a charge or the current which is required to be established in the coil. So this much amount of work will be done, and this work done is stored in the form of, or it is called, energy stored in the inductor. Now let us see example number 10. We have two parts. Obtain the expression for the magnetic energy stored in a solenoid in the terms of B, A and length of the solenoid. So we have to find out energy stored in solenoid, that is the first part, in the terms of B, A and L. And the second part is, how does this magnetic energy compare with the electrostatic energy stored in the capacitor? So we have to compare this magnetic energy stored in a capacitor. So magnetic energy, compare magnetic energy with capacitor, or energy stored in capacitor. So we have two parts which we have to discuss. Now the first part is, find out the energy stored in a solenoid. So clearly the magnetic energy stored in the solenoid in the terms of BAL can be found by using the formula which we have just derived, that is the general formula. The energy stored in the inductor is half Li square. So the magnetic energy, so whatever work we have done, that was stored in a inductor. So the magnetic energy stored is half Li square. This is a general formula where L is a self-inductance of a solenoid. So now you can, we have studied the method to find out the self-inductance and the mutual inductance. That is the total flux linkage divided by the current. And we have found the formula for L also. Now we need to find out the energy stored in the terms of BAL. So you have to simply substitute the self-inductance of solenoid, which we derived in the last lecture, and we have to write I in the form of B. So we know that the magnetic field of solenoid is B is equal to mu naught and I. Therefore, I will be equal to B upon mu naught N. That is equation number 2. Also, self-inductance of solenoid L is mu naught N square area into length. And for mutual inductance, it was N1, N2, area of the inner loop or inner solenoid into the length. Now simply substitute equation 2 and 3 in equation number 1. So substitute equation 2 and equation 3 in equation 1. So UB is equal to half L. L is mu naught N square AL into I square. Square of this, that is B square upon mu naught square N square. So N square is cancelled. We are left with one mu also cancelled. So the potential energy or energy stored in the solenoid is half then B square upon mu naught area into length. So this much energy is stored. So this is the answer in the form of B, A and N. Now we have to compare it with the magnetic energy. We have to compare this magnetic energy with the energy stored in capacitor. Now as far as the capacitor is concerned, the general formula was half CV square. As well, we have also defined the magnetic energy or electric energy per unit volume. That was called as electric density or magnetic density or magnetic energy density. So that we have derived, and the formula was the magnetic energy per unit volume. So we have defined the magnetic energy per unit volume, which was known as the electric energy density or magnetic energy density. The magnetic energy stored per unit volume, the magnetic energy stored per unit volume is called energy density, of magnetic field. So either you say energy density of a magnetic field or simply magnetic energy density. The symbol used is, let the symbol be UB, small ub. So we have used the symbol in capacitor as rho E. So here we can use UB, or sometimes we also write rho B, that is the rho is the symbol for density. So it is energy per unit volume. Now if you see this formula, let us name this equation 4. So area into length. So area of the solenoid multiplied by its length is the volume of a solenoid. So if I bring this volume in this denominator, it becomes a energy density. So energy density rho B is equal to UB by capital V, that is a volume, and from equation 4 it becomes half B square upon mu naught square. So this is the formula for magnetic energy density. Now we compare it with the magnetic energy stored in a capacitor per unit volume. So electric energy density was rho E, that will be written as half. In the place of B we write E square. In the place of 1 upon mu naught we write 1 upon epsilon naught. So if you remember this, we derived in chapter number 2. So from both this expression it is clear that energy density is directly proportional. Energy density is directly proportional to square of the field. So whether it is an electric field or a magnetic field, the energy density is directly proportional to the square of the field, and permeability and permittivity are the respective constants. Now let us see exercise. We start with question 6.3. We have a very long solenoid with 15 turns per centimeter. So number of turns is 15 per centimeter, that is 1 upon centimeter, that is per centimeter. So it should be converted into meter. So 15 upon 1 centimeter can be written as 0.01 meter. So 15 upon 0.01 meter inverse. A long solenoid with 15 turns per centimeter has a small loop of area 2 centimeter square. So we have a small loop of 2 centimeter square, that is 2 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter square. So we consider a solenoid. Let us consider this as solenoid, and inside this solenoid we have a loop. Remember, inside the solenoid we have a loop which is placed normal to the axis. So magnetic field and the area vector of magnetic field of the solenoid and the area vector of the coil are in the same direction, means angle between them is 0. Now if the current carried by the solenoid changes steadily from 2 to 4 ampere in 0.1 second. So there is a variation in the current in the solenoid from 2 to 4 ampere. So di is, we can write change in current, that should be 4 minus 2 final minus initial, that is 2 ampere. This is change in current. So current is variable and the time interval is 0.1 second. We have to find out the EMF induced in it. EMF induced in it, how much current. We can also find out the current in the coil if we know its resistance. So here we have to find out only the induced EMF. So due to change in the current of the solenoid, the magnetic flux or the magnetic field will change. So flux will change, it will induce a EMF. As a result, some current, induced current, will also flow inside the in a coil. So the flux linkage with coil, or the flux linked with the coil, is phi is equal to BA cos of 0 degree, that is equal to BA, that is equation number 1. EMF induced, now because there is a variation in the current, we know the magnetic field of the solenoid is mu naught Ni. I changes, so B will change, B changes means flux will change. So EMF induced is equal to minus d phi by dt. This is equal to minus d by dt. We substitute this value here. The magnetic field is mu naught Ni and area as it is given to us. So now mu naught is constant, N is constant, A is constant. So we have current variable, that is minus mu naught N A di by dt. Now all the values are given to us. So we have to substitute this value. Mu naught is equal to 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7. N is equal to 15 upon 0.01. area is equal to 2 into 10 raised to minus 4. Change in current is 2 ampere and divided by the time is 0.1 second. So this much voltage is induced, or this much EMF is induced. So we write the magnitude, because we know the EMF is induced in such a way that it tends to oppose the change. So if we try to increase the current from 2 to 4 ampere, the current will be induced in the coil which opposes the change. So minus sign indicate the change or opposition, and therefore we write the answer in magnitude. So you substitute all, you do this calculation and find out how much EMF is induced in the coil. Now let us see question number 8. Current in the circuit falls from 5 ampere to 0 ampere in 0.1 second. So again the change in current is given. The current is falling from 5 ampere to 0.0 ampere or 0 ampere. So final minus initial. So the decrease in the current or change in current is minus 5 ampere, and this fall take place in 0.1 second. Again the current is changing, variable. Now if an average EMF of 200 volt is induced, so EMF induced is equal to 200 volt. Then find the self-inductance of the circuit. We have to find out the L. So the direct formula for a EMF induced is equal to minus L di by dt, and therefore L is equal to minus E dt upon di. So that is equal to minus 200 multiplied by minus 5, multiplied by 0.1 divided by minus 5. So this minus minus is cancelled. So that is 40 into this is 40 into 0.1. So answer is 4 Henry. So this is the self-inductance of the coil or a circuit. Question number 6.9. So this is an MCQ based question. 6.8. Again 6.9. A pair of adjacent coils has a mutual inductance of 1.5 Henry. Now we have a system of two coils. We have a system of two coils. That is, mutual inductance is 1.5 Henry. If the current in one of the coil changes from 0 to 20 ampere in 0.5 second, again change in current is given. So let us say the change in the current is in coil 1. So we say di1. So EMF will be induced in the second coil. Now this change in the current is from 0 to 20 ampere. So final minus initial, that is equal to 20 ampere current. So current is increasing and the time interval is equal to 0.5 second. What is the change in the flux linkage with the other coil? So we have to find out the flux linkage with the another coil, that is d phi 2. So EMF will be induced in the coil 2 if we assume that current changes in the coil 1. We know that. So we know that EMF induced in second coil can be written as minus d phi by dt, that is the Faraday law, and at the same time we have derived this EMF induced is equal to minus m di1 by dt. So we have two equations. The first part was a Faraday law, and using this combination we also found that the induced EMF is equal to minus m di by dt, and therefore we have to find out the change in flux. So minus minus get cancelled, dt will get cancelled. So d phi 2 is equal to m di1. So this is equal to mutual inductance is 1.5 into 20. So 1.5 into 2, that is 3 Weber. So the change in the flux in the another coil should be equal to 1.5 into 20. So that is 30 Weber. 1.5 into 20. So it is 30 Weber. This is the change in the magnetic flux linked with the other coil. Now question number 10. It is given that a jet plane is traveling towards west at the speed of 1800 km per hour. So speed of the plane towards west is 1800 km per hour. That is equal to 1800 into 5 upon 18 to convert it into meter per second. So that is 500 meter per second. It is traveling towards west. What is the voltage difference developed between the two ends of the wing having a span of 25 meter? So the length of the wings is 25 meter. So that is the two ends of the length of the wing is separated by 25 meters. So the total length is 25 meter. If the earth magnetic field at the location has a magnitude of, so the earth magnetic field is 5 into 10 raised to minus 4 Tesla, and the deep angle, which is also angle of inclination, say I, is 30 degree. Then we have to find out what is the EMF. Now see the direction of the current, the direction of the plane is west. So if we draw the situation like this is west, this is east, this is north and south. So it is given that the plane is flying towards west. So if it is flying towards west, the wings will be in the direction north-south. The wings will be in the direction north-south. So if I consider this as a plane, this is my west direction, this will be the east direction. So this is the north and north-south. So the situation is the plane is moving towards west, and this is my north-south direction. So its wings will be along the north-south. So this indicates the wings of the aeroplane. And if I consider this as a magnetic meridian, then so we assume that the plane is flying west-east in the direction west. So these are the wings. This indicate the wings. Now for EMF induced, or if you remember the motional EMF, now the plane is flying, so there will be the magnetic effect of the earth. The earth have a magnetic field. So now you have a two options. Either there should be a horizontal component, that is BH, or the vertical component of the earth magnetic field. We know motional EMF was equal to BVL, and in this experiment we studied that all three were perpendicular to each other. So if I see the length, this is the length of the wings, it is perpendicular to the velocity. So plane is flying towards west. Let us assume this direction as a west. So this is north south. So this length of the wing is perpendicular to V. So L is perpendicular to V. Now both should be perpendicular to B. So we have two options. One is this horizontal component. and one should be the vertical component. So in the figure, this is your magnetic meridian. So clearly this length of the wing is perpendicular to the vertical component. So here you have to consider the vertical component of the magnetic field. Here BV is equal to the vertical component of Earth magnetic field. Earth magnetic field. So whenever you apply this formula BVL, first you try to see whether all three are perpendicular to each other. So here V and L are clearly perpendicular. Now we have two options. Either we take a horizontal component of Earth or a vertical component. So vertical component of the Earth is perpendicular to the direction of the motion of the aeroplane as well as the length of a wing. So simply you have to write down BV. So motional EMF is equal to, now BV we know is B into sine of I, that is dip angle VN. So this B is given as phi into 10 raised to minus 4 into dip angle is sine 30 into the speed is 500 and the length is 25. So this will be equal to phi into 10 raised to minus 4. Sine 30 is half into 500 into 25. So you substitute all these values, you will find out the EMF induced across the two ends of the wing. So one end will become positive and other end will become negative. So its wing should be assumed to be a rod of U-shaped experiment. So this is all about we have for today's lecture. We will continue the remaining numerical in the next lecture, and we have to do the last topic which is an AC generator. So in the next lecture we will complete the exercise numericals and thereafter we will complete AC generator. Have a nice day.